Okay, got a leaky shower here. Shower cartridge is leaking. Very bad, you can push on it, make it leak even worse. Cannot get the screw out from under here, get the handle off. The whole thing's floppy. Gotta shut the water off if nothing else. I want to unfold the two side screws. These guys. And take a look back there and make sure this thing does have the two shut-off valves on the other side. This has got a really long throw on it, which is actually the reason these screws are so long. And you'll see this is where they're actually used, all the way down the end there. In order to get to those screws though, without being able to get the handle off of there, you got to get access to them. So I'm drilling a couple holes, which will fit my screwdriver. So theoretically I should be able to reach back in there and turn the rudder off. Once I turn the rudder off, I can turn this thing sideways and drill off this little Allen screw so I can get all this stuff off of here right now. And I want to stick my drill in there and get it all shorted out. So I'm going to just drill 2 pilot holes, and I'm going to put a bigger drill bit in there now so I can fit my little slide screwdriver. Alright, I was able to reach this one over here, the hot side. Turns out though, this is too close in, so it's got to be drilled out to the edge, or you use a longer screwdriver. I don't remember if I have a longer screwdriver. This one will reach in there to the valve. This one's bumping on the thing here, so I'm going to try to waller this hole out a little bit. That doesn't work out so good, then I might try it like that. I'll go get my longer screwdriver. I think I have one somewhere. You may just have to open the hole up bigger. So this is not what you want to have fall out on you, and this is the problem. There's the shut-off valve. Well, I was trying to turn it to get it to shut off, and you see it's 90 degrees. Snap ring blew out. And the whole thing blew out. So now I turned the water off to the whole place, and hopefully I can get that back in there so I can shut this water off. Because otherwise, I'm going to leave the whole thing shut down. Don't want to do that. Alright, so I had to drill out, start with an 1/8 inch drill, work on my way up to a 1/4 inch drill basically the entire inside of that attachment out, and work it off. Trash to get that. Now I can pull that out. So I'm going to have to see if I can get those back in there. So I can turn this water off, so I can turn the water back on. That's interesting. It's a different, it's a different type. Yeah, this is one of these long jobs. Not the standard Positemp that we're used to dealing with. So that's what I need to see if I can get back in the hole. Looks like a standard Positemp cartridge though. Interesting. This is going to be interesting because the new ones don't come with the long ones like that. I'm going to have to do some research. Alright, let's see if I can get that thing back in there. So I'm attempting this. Make sure you have something underneath it to catch it so it doesn't drop down in the wall and then you're screwed. I'm going to try to get that in there. I'm going to need something to lead that up with. I just happen to have some soap right here. I had to squeeze it back into shape. It was all twisted. Unfortunately, that's what happens. These things haven't moved in 20 years. It's really hard. Get them to turn. Soap will make a big difference though. So let's see. Horizontal is, it's hard to tell, isn't it? Horizontal is good. Okay, so horizontal is good, vertical is off. I think I got the hot over there off. Alright, now I just got to get that snap ring in there. It's going to take all my hands to do this, so I just got to reach it up in there gently, probably with my pair of needle nose, and then see if I can push the ends of that snap ring back into its groove. Alright, well that didn't work, so I ended up having to get my snap ring pliers. These work for either internal and external snap rings. You need little tiny pairs. Go in there, we've got to squeeze these together. Squeeze them together to get in that little ring. You can see on that other side over there, you can see that one in there. So it's going to be put up in there and squeezed and slid in there, but I got to push on it with my screwdriver so you can't watch. Okay, so far so good. Looks like I got it in there. I had to push that valve all the way back as far as I could and get that snap ring to inside and pop to the outside. You look at the other one there for reference. Now I'm going to go turn the water back on, and hopefully that's going to hold up and the water will be turned off. But I got to change this cartridge, so we're going to have to watch out with this other one. We do the same thing. Those both should be turned off right now. So hopefully that'll plug that hole up, and that'll be the end of today. I can deal with this tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. But either way, hopefully that's going to take care of it and then get the water back on. We'll see here in a minute. Now hopefully it holds up. But water is back on full tilt. I managed to tweak that one a little bit and get the water shut off, and it's still in place. So it didn't blow anything out when I was twisting it. For some reason it twisted the snap ring. So when you're twisting those valves, push in on them while you're doing it, so that the outward pressure won't twist the snap rings. Now I got to get cartridges for these things. I think I'm gonna have to pull one to make sure, see which one it is first. But either way, I think we're good to go for now. Cool. Alright, like often I do, I come in at the end of this, but I do so many of these that I think I have several of them posted. But I just want to go over this one. This one's an outside shower. I was not able to turn these off. If you watch that video when I was taking this trim off of there, I actually had one of these blow out on me. I had to get that back in there. So I did this one with the water off. Someone had got into this one and fried all along the outside of it. So it had grooves all over the place, which means that it may not seal up completely. I'll have to deal with that in a minute. But taking this one apart, I put my little puller on it, and of course it just pulled the end right off it. So using a drywall screw, which is also have videos on there, I simply screwed it into, you can see in the end there, screwed it into there, and you just got to be careful. You can see where it started to pop that gasket. Whatever you do, you don't want to get it into this inner bore here, because this is brass and it's soft, and you get grooves in it and it won't seal up. So in this case, it actually pulled out pretty easy. Well, if you watch the other videos, I put that drywall screw in there and put a hammer, and you got to pry it on something. I ended up cracking that a little bit. That'll be covered in the trim. Yeah, what I did, put something up in there to pry against, and it pulled right out easy. The other thing you got to watch out for is a lot of times you get them out, this will come off and it'll be stuck in the back. And if you don't notice that, you won't be able to get that back in. So I had to go in there with my little sandpaper, once again if you watch some of the other videos, and basically polish out the whole board at the front, was where I was worrying about the O-ring, which is right along here. Where am I? I get used to this. Sits in there. I don't know where it goes in this groove. And that's what really needs to seal up. But I only got it to about halfway, and it would not go in no matter what. Pushing. So I had to pull it back out, go into it with my sandpaper all the way to the back, and polish up the whole thing. You could feel when you're going up in there, you can feel it dragging on something. So turn the water on a little bit, let it flush. And as you sand it, it'll flush it out a little bit. And then, miraculously, the sucker slid right on in there. So we are good to go. Just a few tips on there. If it doesn't go all the way in, make sure, like I said, make sure the end of that whole cartridge isn't stuck back in there. Always be careful that you don't get anything into this bore to scratch it up. It's a sign that somebody didn't know what they're doing. They're sticking a probe or something trying to pry it out. Okay, just a couple of things. And pleasantly surprised, water back on full. Make sure that little clip's in all the way down. It's got two little holes in the bottom. Don't force it too much, it should drop right in there. Usually you have to push the little legs back to get them into the hole. Be patient. Turn the water on, I got no leaks. However, I just want to mention that oddly enough, this is the second one. When I turn the water on, the shower's running. They had the handle twisted all the way upside down. Hot and cold needs to be up. So simply turn it over. Kind of odd, but looking good. Okay, so I had to destroy the trim kit to get it apart. And unfortunately, these are the only ones I can find. There's another name for this other type. I say other type because of this. It's got this long tube on it with this long temperature adjusting thingy, and it has an extension that goes on there. So my intention, this is the correct one as far as configuration for the Positemp. It's up here at this 10 o'clock position. New ones are plastic. Well, it took off, and I'm trying to get this out of here. I've never seen this before. Took my torch to heat up this aluminum one. It just turns out it's just pot metal. It's just melted, which is okay. Yeah, it's still hot. It's been like 5 minutes. So my intention was, I stuck my pliers in there, and I turned this upside down, and I was beating on that thing. I was holding it like so, and beating on the, actually it was the other way around, wasn't it? Like so, and I was beating on the sides of this and didn't do anything, so I just figured I'd heat it up. So that popped right out of there. I've got to de-lime this part so that it'll fit in the new one of these, I hope. Yep, and that's still hot. It's going to melt its way in there if I don't leave it out of there. It's trying. Anywho, since I can't find those, I'm going to try to use this one and just kind of reuse some of the parts. Unfortunately, I had to drill this one off, as you saw. That part. So I can't reuse this part. If I was able to get the handle off it in one piece, and I got 5 more of these to do, so I'll reuse all this and that with the extension and just change out the trim. So we got to go pull the cartridge and see how this works out. Okay, and the best advice I can give is never throw your old parts away until you've completed your replacement, because in this case, I said we're going to have to reuse this and that, and also we're going to have to reuse this long screw that was in the original one. This has to extend all the way down to there. This has to go in there, and that screw has to reach all the way to the stem of the cartridge. So, clean the screw up, got some old parts, got the new parts. I'm going to go I'll pull that cartridge and then see about changing this trim. Alright, in this case, since we have this big setback here, this is what these actual long screws on that trim plate are for. So we have this big old deal which I'm reusing. The only thing I had to replace is this part because I had to drill that open. Luckily I had another one. The rest of it, which is a different, you can buy just this set, but it doesn't come with that little part. So it comes with this long thing here. So because it's set back that far, cartridge is the same. It gets this long one that you can clean that out. So now the normal handle wouldn't fit, so it has this extension. So with the extension, basically it goes in the normal manner. And I'm too lazy to change over to the Phillips side. Just tighten it up, you should be good, because when you tighten this, it's going to try to go to the stop and will not turn the shower on. When you're taking it off, you can turn the shower on and soak yourself while you're standing in front of it. I'll tighten it up in a minute, but just cold water, hot water. Alright, we're looking good. Now I gotta take that back off so I can put the trim on it. But that's the concept right there. Alright, standard trim kits we're going to use, which is this thing. Comes with the handle, and back and plate. Comes with a couple of different sleeves, which neither one are we going to use in this case. The little plasticky temperature adjusting thing, which is actually two pieces, these split. And it's fine threads, you can adjust the stop if you don't want it to go full hot. I don't know anybody do that. A couple extra pieces depending on the size of things you use. A different kind of stop, you can see that. The one we use is this, but said I'm reusing the other one, so I'll have a spare. Most importantly is the hardware. So, this long screw will be used most likely for what we have. Let's see, how long is that screw? No, not quite long enough. So we'll be reusing that screw. The little tiny hex head, internal hex head screw, and it comes with an Allen wrench for that. And those long screws, which in this case we're actually going to use, we're going to need that length to reach all the way back in there. So it's going to be the first one I put in that actually uses the length of those. And this little blue stuff is thread locker to keep them in place. So, pretty straightforward. It's got a rubber seal on the back of it. So let's get it on there. Next go the two screws. And everything just kind of goes in after that. Okay, as it turns out, one more thing you need to hang on to from the old stuff. I thought these screws were long. That ain't nothing. These are the ones that have to go in there. Look at that. That's crazy. That's what is required. Just put that little ear in there. Close. There we go. Gravity, man. The Monday morning gravity is really heavy. Alright, and we put our long pieces in. That's got to be lined up where it gets lined up. other way. You'd think it would line up perfectly. It's really odd. It's got a manufacturing defect. You want that to line up. That would be the proper way to have it line up all the way. I don't think it matters anyway, because it bounces off that little piece there. Okay, so tighten that up. Okay, so this handle stays loose until you tighten it up all the way. And you tighten it up, of course, in there. If you have the water turned on, you need to you need to tighten it from there, because as soon as you turn it to get to the side of it. So there we go. Cold water to the hot water. Back in business. That was a little questionable, that one to start with, but came out good. 5 more to go. So far so good. And that'll quit dripping eventually. There we go. Alright. Onward and upward.